what is up, and welcome back to a new video. It's been a long time since I've made a video, but I'm back, and this is the sixth video I think in the Python Learn Python series. And today we're going to be covering variables, as you can see by my program file title. So last video we covered the types of data. So we covered the type function, and we covered what all data types are there. So we covered the int, we covered floats. So floats are the decimal values, ints are your integers with no decimal value. Then we covered strings, and I think we covered a few more. But in this video we're going to be learning on how we can apply the data types in our Python programs. So rather than just using numbers or using decimal numbers, using strings, we're going to be learning something called variables. So if you've done algebra before, you probably know what variables are, right? You've done solve for x, for example. So variables in programming are pretty much the same thing. You can assign variables different values. So for example, let me take a variable and let's call it x. All right. To assign x to a value, we have to put an equal sign, and we have to put the value that we want to assign it to. So let's say 3, right? So note the spaces over here. If you want, you could have the spaces, but the program will work with other spaces as well. I like to keep it a little organized. It looks better like this, so I'm going to have the spaces there. Now the value x to a value of 3, right? So if I enter this, and now if I do the type of x, right? Now the type of x gives me int. Okay, so type of x is the same thing as doing type of 3, but instead I have a variable through which I can assign different values to. Alright, so if I want to do some addition, so I could do that. So I could do x plus 5, and that would give me 8, because 3 plus 5 is 8. So all it's doing is it's substituting the value x for the value that we assigned it to over here, right? And so you can do a lot of amazing things with variables. Let's say I have a variable called a, and let's have a value 3.14, right? And I have a variable called r, and let's have r to be equal 5. Now let's do 2 times a times r, and that gives us 31.4, whatever this is, right? And so that is basically substituting the value a for this value over here, 3.14, and substituting the value r for this over here, 5, right? So if you multiply 2 times 5, you would get 10, and if you multiply 10 by 3.14, you would get this value here approximately. PyCharm, sort of there's some weird thing where it gives you this additional decimal number, but that's fine. Okay, moving on. You can also have variables that are assigned to values that are not integers, so they can be strings as well. So if I have hello, let's say h equals hello, and if I have w equals world, right? Now what I can do is I can do h plus w, which will give me hello world. Now, okay, here's the thing. Hello world's fine, but there's no space in between. So instead of going ahead and creating a new variable w2, for example, or what I can do is I can just edit the existing variable. So as you can see, I've already made the variable w over here, and what I'm doing is I'm going to edit this variable to have another value, and this other value is going to be space world. All right, and now if I do h plus w, it's going to give me hello space world. So you can edit the values of variables as well. Now PyCharm shows you this thing over here which contain all the values of the variable, so and also the type, so all the variable names and the variable values. Now the technical term for the variable names is called the variable identifier. All right, and all the program is doing is it's storing the variable identifier or the variable name in the memory along with this value over here. All right, and whenever you use that variable, it's just referencing this value in the memory and substituting it for the variable. All right, so in this program, for example, let's have a variable a equals 5, and let's have a b equals 6. All right, and what we're going to do is you're going to print a plus b. So you can do the same thing with a Python file as opposed to the Python console. All right, now let's run this. All right, and this gives us 11 because 5 plus 6 is 11. All right, now let's do this. How about we have b equals world? All right, now what do you think this will give us? So this gives us an error. All right, it's a type error, and what this means is that you can't add a string and an int together, right? You can add integers, floats together, you can add strings and strings together, but you cannot add integers and strings. It's nonsensical. Can you add 5 and world together? You can't. I've misspelled the word, but that's fine. So over here it says type error, unsupported operand type for plus. So this is the operation it's showing you. Integer and string. So this stands for int and string. So this is an order. So if I were to reverse the order, I think, yeah, this should work. All right, yeah. So this gives us another error, which is type error. Can only concatenate string, not int, to string, right? So we'll get to concatenation later on, but all you have to know is you cannot add strings, integers, or floats together. You can add ints and floats, or floats and ints. You can add strings and strings. But what you can do is you can multiply them. So you can do 8 times b, and what this will give you is it will give you this value basically multiplied multiple times. And so that's the real power of using variables in a complex program where you're going to take user inputs and stuff. Rather than directly using those user inputs in multiple places, you can assign them a variable, right? So for example, you can assign a variable called name, and then you can take a user input for that, and then you can use that in the future. Of course, we haven't gotten to user inputs yet, but we will get to that probably in the upcoming episodes. But yeah, that is the real power of variables. Again, all these variables have data types. So as I showed you, you can use the type function on them. They function like any other data type, and that's really amazing. Alright guys, anyways, I'll see you in the next video. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them below, and subscribe to the channel. I have 139 subscribers right now, which is pretty amazing. And yeah, like the video, leave a comment down below. Anyways guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.